It's funny because they say marriage should be a mission, and we received our mission right away, and that was this company. I got to visit a pregnancy center years ago, see the work that they do, and I was very moved by the lives that they're saving. But one thing struck me is how underfunded they are. We're coming up on $500,000 donated, and it's been amazing just to see what this has turned into.
Hello, and welcome to the Liberty Spenders podcast. We are Kurt and Kristen Luthart, your hosts, and co-founders of the Prosper Group, an agency that's raised over $500 million and elected over 100 members of Congress, 14 governors, 15 U.S. senators, and 1 president. And now, in addition to helping political candidates get elected, we're helping your business get elected by answering this question: what if you could exponentially grow your business by tapping into a unique and engaged audience that we call Liberty Spenders? And really, that just means that they're politically conservative or faith-based consumers, and they're looking to buy from businesses that align with their values.
Our guest today is Anton Krecic, founder of 7 Weeks Coffee, which is a specialty coffee brand that shares a mission to support the pro-life movement by donating 10% of its sales to local pregnancy care centers. Anton and his wife started the company in just 2 weeks after getting married, which we definitely need to talk about. And they travel together to conferences and events to share their mission and to meet supporters. Anton, welcome to the show.
Yay, thanks for having me on, Kurt and Kristen. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I do want to hear about the 2 weeks after you got married thing.
I know, it's a perfect time to start a company, right?
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of thing that either was the best marriage decision you ever made or made the first year a little interesting.
You know, it's funny because they say marriage should be a mission, and we received our mission right away, and that was this company. So I mean, I did not, even have the idea of 7 Weeks Coffee when we were dating or engaged, and when we got married. There was nothing like, "Hey, I have this plan to start a company." But it was 2 weeks after we got married. I've always been very passionate. I'll start with that. Very passionate about business, entrepreneurship. I used to work in political fundraising, so similar to what you guys did. I know we have a lot of friends in the industry. I was very passionate about causes, especially the pro-life cause. But one of the main things I was curious about is how do we take, the dollars we spend, the products we buy, and, really use that to support, products, but also a worldview that we care about. For me, the biggest issue on my heart was the pro-life issue, supporting local pregnancy care centers. And I literally did a Google search of pro-life coffee one day and nothing came up. It literally did not exist. And it was this light bulb moment of, wow, how is there no one, advocating for the pro-life cause through coffee? Because there's a lot of coffee brands that have a mission, a way to advocate for a cause. But there was nothing for the pro-life. And I was super passionate about coffee. I was really into different coffees and learning about different origins. And the pro-life cause was something I cared about deeply. I got to visit a pregnancy center years ago, see the work that they do. And I was very moved by the lives that they're saving. But one thing struck me is how underfunded they are and understaffed they are. So when I came to this kind of a light bulb moment, it was, to start a pro-life coffee company. And it was literally 2 weeks after I got married. I called my wife. I remember it so vividly. She was at work. She was a nurse. I was like, "Hey, I have this idea. I want to start a pro-life coffee company. What do you think?" And I know that caught her by surprise, but she was totally on board after a little convincing. And she did help me come up with the name, which solidified kind of the mission right from the beginning. She said, "When is a baby the size of a coffee bean?" And I look it up at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean. At the same time, a heartbeat is detectable on ultrasound. And the mission, the name came together: donate back 10% of every sale to support ultrasound services at pregnancy care centers. Because what pregnancy care centers do is they provide resources to moms in need. And one of the main things they help is share with a mom the life within the womb through an ultrasound, so they can hear their child's heartbeat for the first time. So that was our the start of the company, and that was coming up on 3 years this fall. So that was in September of 2021.
Yeah, it's amazing. And as you were sharing that, I know that my understanding is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but that 7 Weeks Coffee, you guys have raised and donated over $450,000, and you're supporting over 850 pro-life organizations across the country. Do I have that fact right?
You do, yeah. So it's been amazing to see what it started with was the simple idea of supporting our local center. So when we started, we gave back 10% of every sale just to our local center here in Northern Virginia. So we sold $8,000 of coffee that first month. We dropped off a check for $800 and we started there. And since then, we've grown from that one center to centers across the nation, to outside of just pregnancy centers, to some adoption and maternity homes and other pro-life groups, to now we're over 850 pro-life groups we're supporting. We're coming up on $500,000 donated. And it's been amazing just to see what this has turned into. We really see ourselves as a company that's on a mission to fund the pro-life movement through coffee now.
Well, I love the focus on ultrasounds because you're absolutely right. I remember in 2020 when we heard it was probably 2019 actually, when we heard the first heartbeat of our daughter who was born in 2020. And it's then, at least as the guy, when it became really real, right? We're having a baby. I mean, we wanted to have a baby. We were excited about it. Then you hear the heartbeat. And I was sort of secretly recording it because the doctor's office didn't want us to record the appointment, but I was
the tech there sort of gave a little wink, like, pointed at the machine. Don't let me see it. She was nice.
Yes, but it was such a powerful moment. And to your point, when women see those ultrasounds for the first time, it's a powerful connecting moment to what they have growing inside of them. And it's I love the focus on that, the connection between the 7 weeks and the coffee bean size and hearing the heartbeat. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, we really want to connect. It's just a quick point on that is how do you connect the pro-life movement to the cause through coffee? And that's really resonated with people, just showing the humanity within the womb, the life within the womb, that at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean. Their heartbeat is detected. And one of the most encouraging ways for moms to choose life is to hear their child's heartbeat. It's often a great way to advocate for life, and a way for moms to choose life for their babies. And that's what we're here for, to support that work.
I also think it's really compelling how specific the commitment is, right? It's 10% of your sales. That's a pretty bold commitment, by the way. Most folks don't fully appreciate just how small margins are often in retail. I can only imagine what it's like in the coffee business. And it makes such a bold commitment. It's more than just saying, hey, we just happen to support pro-life causes here or there, but it's we're doing it with every dollar that's come in. That's both, I think, something to be commended for, but probably also at times you thought to yourself, man, maybe I should have done 2%.
It's definitely funny because when I had the idea of donate back 10% of every sale, I wasn't really thinking through the business of what this could be. I was just thinking this would be a fun idea to raise money for our local center. But the reason why we still stick with it, and I do believe that's why we've been blessed in being able to grow to a multi-million-dollar company now, is because we give consumers the ability to know that with every purchase they make, how much we're giving back and the direct impact. It is a huge portion of our profits when you look at it, but we see it as a way that also is a reason why people will buy our coffee, because they know they're getting to support life at all these amazing pregnancy resource centers across the nation. And it's just something that for us, it works because we're able to use our coffee for such a greater cause. And if I didn't have that commitment to donate 10% of every sale, I'm sure it'd be hard to do that because it is a large portion of profits. But I'm really happy we have that as our mission, because it really keeps us focused on supporting centers. And really what it's come down to is on the business side is, growing profitably and responsibly. Like, we don't have the largest maybe marketing budget because of how much money we give, but we do have money that we can put into marketing in different areas of the business. But yeah, it's definitely how do we keep a lean operating cost so we can keep focused on the mission. And so far, we've been able to do that, and it's been a blessing. We want to keep it that way because um, what's more important than ever is that these organizations need our support. And the centers I get to talk to and meet, it's just so heartwarming to see how grateful they are of our support. And we want to keep making sure we have a resource to give back to them.
And I also, you're taking responsibility for making that happen. And I oftentimes I'll go into a retailer and it's coming time to pay the bill and they say, "Would you like to give us more money to donate to a cause?" And I always think, well, isn't that great, right? You don't have to make the commitment as a retailer. You're asking us to donate more money, which you get credit for, versus saying, no, 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 we're taking it out of our 10%. So again, I just think it's such a bold commitment. I think worth and certainly brings a credibility as as you're talking to these pregnancy care centers, crisis pregnancy centers around the country, that this is a sincere and real commitment. And it's different than just saying, well, why don't you plus up 5% of your coffee purchase and we'll give it to a pro-life cause. It's out of your profits. So
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. I mean, other brands that may do that, especially over the holidays, Christmas holidays, you see that a lot more. They're conduits, so it's good. They're prompting people, which therefore would generate more than if they didn't. But you're right; they get to look good and funnel that without potentially doing it themselves.
yeah,
It's a very valid point.
yeah. So tell us a little bit too. We're a husband and wife duo. We're in our company together. And what's it been like working with your spouse? What do you love about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot of benefits. So my wife is still a nurse. She still works in nursing and healthcare, but she does do a lot of the events with me. She travels to almost every event together, and we do that as a team. And that's been such a blessing. And again, it goes back to like our marriage is in the mission we now really see, which is advancing the pro life cause and supporting pregnancy resource centers. So we'll travel to 7 to 8 events, sometimes 10 events a year, meeting with pregnancy centers, pro-life groups, pro-life advocates, and just really sharing the mission and our company's values, what we stand for. We sell the coffee together, and we just really get to have a good time traveling and really coming together around this pro-life cause. My wife is has an amazing heart for the unborn. In nursing, you kind of have even more of an understanding of life and the value of life, the dignity and respect of human life, and that obviously starts in the womb. And so she's really enjoyed this as well, and being to advocate for the unborn.
So I know how you said $8,000 worth of coffee in your first month. I think you said that supporting your local pregnancy care center. And there's a lot of space between 8,000 in the first month that I think when we talked, you're in the millions now, hoping to get over 3 million, I think, by the end of the year. Was there an inflection point, a moment when you said, okay, this is taken off now? Like we're really growing fast.
Yeah, so it's funny when you start something, you have a dream of maybe what it could be, but you don't actually, know that, and you kind of keep things maybe close to your chest, and you play it off as just this is a fun idea. We get to support our local center, but there was a belief that like, hey, this could really be, the coffee for pro-life Americans all over the country, and yeah, it really did take off from the beginning. What was interesting is we feel the need, and I didn't realize how much, like I was saying, like there was no one doing this, but there was also such a large need. Your guys' podcast is a great example. So many consumers are sick of giving their money to companies that take that money and then support the very values that they fight against. So I mean, we're at this war with our pocketbooks, but we were able to kind of fill that need where pro-life Americans can drink coffee and support a cause they deeply believe in. Planned Parenthood is supported by Starbucks. Starbucks has donated to them before. So, the largest coffee chain in the country, not the world, it directly supports values a lot of Americans, are upset with. So for us, we realized there was a need, and a lot of people took to us really quickly. We got some press early on, but we had people reaching out from all over the country, asking questions, buying our coffee. It's really funny how something can go as simple as idea and really resonate with Americans all over the country.
Well, and it's a great segue because, of course, as you alluded, coffee is a very highly competitive market. There's coffee
Yeah.
shops, but then there's also just, coffee you buy that you make in your home, from specialty brands all the way down to the more standard Keurig. Now, we will admit we are not coffee aficionados. So we've been learning a lot about that as we talk to other people in this space. But, you mentioned there's giant brands, there's a number of specialty brands. What do you think is helping you stand out? I mean, obviously you have this mission, but what is unique to how you're marketing and how you are attracting consumers?
Yeah, I love talking about this because mission can only go so far. We believe and define success as excellence in mission, excellence in product. Because a lot of pro life consumers will see our brand and want to support us simply because of the brand, and they might order. But we want them to order again, and they definitely do order again because they love the product because it's a better product. And I think that's really important: is excellence in mission and excellence in product define success. And so we source our coffee in the most ethical way possible. Most coffee companies buy through a brokerage. They don't know exactly the farmers who grew the coffee or how they were treated. Every single coffee we sell, we personally know the farmers who grew it, the hands that touched it, and this allows for exceptional quality, sourcing, and transparency. Not many coffee companies can say that. We're proud to say that through our partners in the roasting partners we have and the importers, that we get to have this direct trade relationship with farmers, which leads to the top coffee, top 1% to 2% of beans in the world that we get to serve. So we get to, hunt for the best coffee around the world and help a lot of farmers do that. And it really provides the best product. So my favorite reviews, we still get this where people say, I just bought it because I want to support the cause, but I'm buying it again because it's absolutely the best coffee I've ever had. And that's really where we're, finding that balance, is that we have to have a superior product if we really want people to move their dollars, because that's important. We don't want to be a charity in a sense where people support us because they just only support the cause. The product matters. And I think that's really how you move the needle, I think.
Yeah, we often talk about that, and Kurt makes jokes about Chick-fil-A because they have an extraordinary business on for all kinds of reasons. But they also have an amazing chicken sandwich. And so, what's interesting, I think, that you alluded to when we talk to other people who, again, are marketing to what we would call Liberty spenders, some of them, say the reverse is true, where they're attracted by other features or benefits about their product or service, and then they stay because they're really attached to the mission as well. But it sounds like for you, the reverse is true, where they're maybe initially drawn to your mission and what you stand for. They're willing to try it out, and then they say, "My God, this is amazing coffee," and they repeat. Are you finding that is more true for you and how you're marketing?
Yeah, I think it can be both. For us, we want to be unapologetically pro-life. We want that to be clear when you're making a purchase. You know what you're supporting. I think that's important for us, and our mission, and where we kind of align with is our cause, and our mission behind it is to ultimately fund the pro-life movement, one cup of coffee at a time. So a consumer should know that when they buy. But we definitely try to highlight the quality of our coffee as well on our website and how we market, because that is the reason why you should continue to drink our coffee, we think, is the quality as well. So yeah, I think both can be true. And I maybe different businesses have different just avenues of how they want to reach people. But I think all are important. If it's sharing your values outright and being very outspoken with that, if it's more leading with your product, that's fine as well. But I guess ultimately it's the business owner and the company's responsibility to stay true to their values, and hopefully advocating for conservative and Christian values, which is what this podcast is about. And that's why I'm excited to be with you guys today, because it's important to have companies that at their core operate around these values.
And I think it's such a positive thing too, right? We've donated to our church for years, various conservative and Christian causes, but it's so exciting to be able to say, "Oh, we bought coffee today," and that also supported a cause. And by the way, provided jobs for people and paid farmers fairly for their work. And so it's such a positive, uplifting trend in the market. I think some people see it as sort of a type of kind of a boycott or a boycott. In some respects, I think it's more positive and exciting than that. We can exponentially increase our impact out in the world when we find companies with, run by people who share our values to support, right? And I think the impact today might be a 10% donation to a pregnancy care center, but the long-term impact is the growth of Christian businesses, Christian businessmen. It's the growth of your company and what you'll be able to do 10 years from now when you're not doing just $3 million a year. Maybe you're doing $30 million a year, $300 million a year, right? And we need more people like that in this space who are leaders in the business community, who are working to advocate for our values, like people like the Kathy family with Chick-fil-A and the Greens with Hobby Lobby. So I think it's such an exciting thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I look up to the Green family. I read Mr. Green's book, Leadership Not by the Book, and they donate a huge portion of their profits away to causes they support, Christian causes, and that was really inspiring to me. And I've always cared deeply about business, but from the Christian perspective, right? And I think that's important. How do we bring our values that we talk about, let's say within the church, to outside the church, to the marketplace? And that's important. Is that wouldn't it be awesome if the CEO of Amazon or whatever big tech company was a Christian?
Mm-hmm.
That I think those are things that we kind of skip over. Is like, oh, we should not really entangle ourselves in the marketplaces, but I think it's the opposite. I think we need to get involved in every area of life, especially business, as Christians.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
This is a little advertisement for the Liberty Spender show, but we have Steve Green, the CEO of Hobby Lobby, in one of our episodes, which will probably be out by the time you're listening to this one. So check it out. And you're absolutely right. He tells the story of the challenge of implementing faith values into running their business. And even in the short hour we had with him, the stuff he shared was so challenging and inspirational. Their decision to close on Sundays, the years when they didn't know that they would survive, and how they really feel like God carried them through it all. Mm-hmm. And so it's so powerful. I also like, we talked about the pregnancy care centers you're supporting. I think from a business perspective, it also shows the potential of tapping into a market like this, because not only you're supporting them, but they're also essentially becoming your brand ambassadors in their communities, which seems like a really powerful marketing plan. Tell me a little bit about how you conceived of that. I knew you were going to support them from the beginning, but now you've built relationships with, I think, 850 of them. So how did that all get going? And how'd you pull that off? That sounds like a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, well, and help share the lessons learned, because you've had success with this. And so for our listeners, maybe it'll spark some ideas for them as well.
Well, this is a funny one because it's a lesson too. You learn as you go. When I started this and the idea of supporting local centers and pro-life groups, we didn't have what now is our partnership program, how we can work individually with centers, support them uniquely, working with their events, and also providing materials and links where they can then share, and then consumers and their followers can drink coffee, and then their orders are supporting their local center. So it's really cool when you drink coffee through 7 weeks, but you're also not just supporting pro-life groups in general, you're supporting your local pregnancy resource center. So that's what it turned into, which is awesome and super powerful. But that was not like the plan from the beginning. I didn't have a good understanding of that, but it kind of developed.
You mean you had to iterate on your idea?
Yes.
It wasn't genius 100% right out of the gate. I mean, yeah.
That is definitely our story. If you would see where it was, when it started to now, it's night and day different. But I think that's how every business is, right? You got to iterate and take small steps. But it really started with centers reaching out like, hey, how do we, sign up to receive support from you guys? How can we share this with our followers who can support us? So right then and there, the incoming questions really led to the building out of our now partnership program. And how it all works with, they're allowed to, they can share their link and they can share that with their fans and followers. And that link is where the orders through that link will support their local center. So it all kind of came together through exploring, having conversations with centers. And that's super important. I think during the beginning, I tried to talk, and I still do, to everyone from customers to fans to pregnancy centers to anyone who had an idea. I was ready to listen. And I think that was really important because you kind of get this feedback loop really quickly and you can iterate quickly as well. And if you don't do that, you're really missing out at those early level touch points with your first consumers who are your most important ones. So yeah, that was important. And it's led to a great program that we're still growing to this day. I think we have almost half the nation's groups that are partners with us, but I think we have half to continue to reach. So we're still going.
So do you have, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, so if you don't, that's okay. But do you know what the breakdown is in terms of your sales that come from these partners versus what you do directly?
Yeah, it's still high majority is directly on our website, for sure. The partnership program is this continuing growth that I think will increase over time, but it's not like the majority of our sales. But really, what it is, it's an amazing touch point for consumers to get plugged into the local center, and for that local center to also, have this additional way of generating donations for their nonprofit. So it's just that amazing grassroots effort behind it that I think it's been cool. I think it's kind of hard to quantify, but I do believe that's led to a lot of, I guess, organic growth, you can call it. Maybe it's not all tracked. So I'm sure a larger percentage of sales that are not tracked have come through maybe a local center sharing this and, getting the word out. So yeah, that grassroots level of part of our organizations has been awesome. It's been a very great way we can reach more people.
Well, I absolutely believe that, and I also believe that the power of the connection that you're going to get with consumers, even if they're not utilizing it for their local center, knowing that that's possible, it just drives, I would imagine, deeper loyalty, a deeper feeling of connection. It would increase, the amount that they're repurchasing. The more they see, for those people that are motivated by this issue and this cause, the more they're going to feel like they want to continue to do that, even if it's gifting to their friends. And, the more passion you have with your consumers. That's just a basic business principle. You want to create raving fans. And how do you create raving fans? Well, of course, you have a good product, excellent customer service and delivery, but you're tapping into the values that they care about. And the more they see that you are fully integrated with that, I would imagine the deeper the loyalty.
Absolutely. We have this new campaign now on our website that says it's called Drink More Coffee, Save More Lives. Help us raise $500,000 for centers, which pays for 5,000 ultrasounds, which can save 5,000 lives. And on our website, we have pictures of just a handful of the centers we support. So it really allows the consumer to see hey, here's literally the centers we have supported through the sale of our coffee, the names, what they, have to say. You have a picture with the coffee as well. And it's just cool because it really connects the consumer with the purchase. And like you said, that's really important. We want people to see the full scope of the impact we're having with their purchase.
Exactly. And of course, you know that from your experience with political fundraising, as we do. But the more you break that down, the same thing with, charitable giving, when you can help spell that out, this amount equals this. So for anyone listening who's considering this, the more you can break that down to people so they can absolutely understand crystal clear what that money is going to, that is just such a powerful marketing lesson and tactic to learn. So this money dollars equals this ultrasound or whatever that thing is that you're trying to accomplish. So that's amazing and very powerful.
Well, I also imagine, coming from the great world of active engagement, JD was featured. His episode went live just, I think, 2 weeks ago with us. That you knew a lot about the email business and how to grow doing that. What are some of the other sort of marketing tactics you have found that have worked for 7 Weeks Coffee as you've grown?
Yeah, it's funny. It's learning from JD and just fundraising at Active Engagement and the other agencies I worked at. I think that really taught me a lot when I started 7 Weeks Coffee is, how to communicate through the written word, especially over email, for cause, for issues, for candidates, PACs. That's what we did in fundraising. But for us, it was for the pro-life cause. And so instead of donating, we're asking that you make a purchase of our coffee. So it was very similar type of marketing, you could say. It translated very well. It's been very helpful to, I think, our success. But yeah, it's really important to connect the consumer with the impact they're having. That's why we definitely try to quantify, not that we just donate 10% every sale, but what's that actually mean, right? So that's why this new campaign we launched is like, hey, this is what $500,000 donated does. It pays for roughly 5,000 ultrasound services, which have the largest impact to save lives. So it can save, nearly 5,000 lives. And so when you really break it down to that impact, consumers have a much more deeper understanding of why it matters and, why they, we'd hope they'd purchase our product. But yeah, that's a huge part of our marketing is breaking things down into understandable information for the consumer and really giving them the reasons why they should act and why they should, for us, drink our coffee.
Yeah. Well, and I took a quick peek, so I probably don't fully appreciate it, but it seemed like your Instagram was really lit. So is that something you spent a lot of time on?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We have a good team we work with to run our social media, and they, our goal with that is, how do you continue to engage and communicate with fans and followers of your brand, outside of them just purchasing, right? So over Instagram and social media, other mediums as well. We want it to be a way that we have a community here. That's what I'm really want to see this is that we have a pro-life community who we come together around the shared love to save lives and a love for coffee. And it's really cool to see, those passions come together and build this community. I think that's something we need to continue to invest in and grow more is that, your followers and fans, they'll hold you accountable and they will be, evangelists, if you will, of your mission. So we really want to connect with them and work with them however we can, because that's really how you grow is treating your consumers right and engaging with them.
That sort of ongoing connection, going where they are, really amplifies it. Because you're right. When all you're doing is asking them for a purchase, after a while they get a little tired of it. But when you can get them engaging in other ways, that's powerful.
I just have to get over the fact that Kurt said lit.
Yeah.
I need a minute just to process that.
I have a show now, so I got to use all the terms.
He's hip now, folks.
Yeah. I'm just
Here I am.
I had to try not to gasp.
I've also got a polka dotted polo on here, so I guess I'm really into it. But I think for a lot of our audience who are entrepreneurs, it's always interesting to ask a business owner, particularly one who's having some success like you are, what is the decision you made here in these first few years that you thought, man, I wish I had that one all over again. That was a mistake. I could roll that back if I had a choice.
Yeah. I think early on, I didn't do enough. I'd say just diligence with different partnerships or relationships. I think when you get started, you kind of say yes to everyone without maybe having a contract in place or a deeper understanding of a software or service. And some of that stuff has really, been hard lessons I learned. Unfortunately, I had not great partnerships, we'll just say, when my initial coffee supplier, and you definitely learn from those things that it's you got to protect yourself as a business. And when you're getting started, you kind of blindly trust everyone, and that's not the maybe best way to go about it. But yeah, one of the things I think we did well, I think I'll answer it this way: we have never made consequential mistakes that or made decisions that would essentially risk the life of the business. I think that's something I've avoided to my best extent. Like there's been a lot of like little mistakes, as anything, you learn as you go, but I've really tried to see this as when you're starting a business, you, the owner, don't know much about your own business yet. It's still just getting started. And so you have to have this weird, like skepticism and also simplicity of your business. So when I started, it was not about understanding the margins or the business or the structure, the finance. It was about growing and just trying to be somewhat profitable. Like that was like my target for the first year and a half. And then as I grew from that. I was like, okay, how do you structure this into a business that is operational and it's run financially well and understanding different metrics and KPIs, and that's the stuff I've learned over the last year per se. And I think that's the biggest thing is if I was giving advice to any entrepreneur starting a business is make it incredibly simple to start and don't feel like you have to make consequential decisions in the beginning. I mean, quite honestly, a lot of things don't have to be decided usually. They just can be a wait, like a not yet is a really good answer for a business owner. And just keep things incredibly simple. Like when we started, we had two types of coffee. So we sold a medium roast and a dark roast. And now we have, tons of different coffees and different variants and, K-cups and a lot of different products, merch, all of that. That was not, if that was like, oh, let's launch with all that would have been a terrible way to start, right? Because you're just overcomplicating things. So you got to keep things incredibly simple. And that's what I tried to do. And I think that was a good frame of reference. And I probably still need to keep that in the forefront.
Well, it's excellent advice because, you're still figuring out all your logistics and figuring out what works and doesn't work, and you don't want to overcommit. And that can happen. And it's an absolute temptation. You're exactly right. Because we want to, and Kurt and I were the same way. You want to already kind of be the adult business. And you're just not there yet. You're a baby, then you're a toddler, you're learning how to walk, businesses have those stages of life and that life cycle. And so you have to know what are the opportunities in each one of those life cycles, what are the risks to watch out for. Because of course, as you mature, you can go the other way and get overly bureaucratic and overly process driven. So then there's less room for innovation. So you hit the nail on the head, and knowing that you started in 2021, you'll trust me, the journey is just beginning for you. Right. You'll learn all kinds of new things. But that advice is excellent.
I love what you said. It was not now, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's excellent advice for a lot of people, myself included, right? There are a lot of decisions I think I've made out of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I should have just said, you know what? Not now. Life is long. The business is going to be around in 20 years. I don't have to do everything today. I don't have to hit every marketing channel. I don't have to be perfect. I can make it just a little bit better and make that other big move 6 months from now or 2 years from now. I think that's excellent learning.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get perfect in your eyesight, you're going to head to a cliff really quickly because there's rarely everything is perfect, and perfect usually costs the most. And when you're starting a business, you don't have the resources to have everything perfect. I kind of like the 80-20 rule, right? Like what's going to accomplish 80% of this right. like goal or this, project, let's say there's an improvement, there's some type of thing you want to build, there's some audience you want to reach, like what's the way to get it 80% of the way there? So you don't have to feel so consumed by making things perfect, because if you do that, you get stuck and it's usually costs a lot, and businesses early on don't have resources. So yeah, I think that's something I've tried to do is like, hey, how do you find the creative solution or the third way? I remember, it's a funny story. So when I first started, the whole mission, donate 10% of every sale to pregnancy care centers. So when I opened up, I was like, okay, let's find a pro-life event to like go to and set up shop and, have a booth. And this pro-life conference, it was right after March for Life. And it was like a couple $1,000s for a booth or to like advertise or market. I was like, okay, I can't do that. Like I can't afford that. And this is like month 2 of right. the business, but this is kind of like where you have to be creative, because you could see this as A, let's find the money and pay for it, or B, say no. And I'd like to say, like, what's the third way? Like, where's option C? So for me, it was like, I emailed them, told them the mission, try to build that relationship, said, hey, we'll just donate back 10% of every sale that we sell that day to you. And they agreed. And that was like our first event we got to go to. And nice. Like, it was just the idea of like, where's the creative way on things? And I think as a business owner, you have to find that third way. And it really comes through building genuine relationships, but also being incredibly, resourceful for what you have and trying to find uh, solutions that aren't binary, right? Like you can't look at everything as either yes and no. There's usually an option there that you just have to really work towards and try to figure out. So that was us. That's how we got started, and that was our first event. And I like to think about that as like, okay, what's the third way for the next problem or task or whatever's in front of us?
Yeah, the more options, the better. That's 100% right. And whenever there's two choices, it's not enough. You can just get indecisive. You have to have at least three to, I think, really have more of a choice and to exercise that you're thinking.
Yeah, and one of that choice should always be like not yet. Like I think that's the one that maybe entrepreneurs get caught up with forgetting is like trying to decide. Like I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. People inundate you with emails, sales, solicitations, partnerships, sponsorships. Do this now, and everything as a business owner. You got to think you think is now. But a lot of times, it just can be wait or not yet. And I've been really stressing on that in my own mind because I think it's really easy to get caught up in trying to say yes to everything. Then you just get too distracted with too many things going on.
Well, yeah, especially with marketing, there's so many options, and AI just makes it even easier for us to get really efficient at things, but not everything is as effective. So you have to really weigh the pros and cons of each thing. Yeah, this is easier to do, but is it effective? You want things to be efficient and effective. So I know we're going to get to our rapid fire section, but before we do, just because of what you said, what does that look like for you? Because you go to events, you're doing direct consumer email marketing. How have you determined that? And I know everything can be in flux, but what is that breakdown for you right now?
Yeah. So in a general sense, and I think as until you're a very large company, the most important thing with any marketing effort is ROI. Like it's got to directly grow, the revenue of your business. So like anything we're investing into has to be like, okay, how does this reach new people? How do we sell more coffee? How do we, we're not trying to do the brand ambassador and just pay for our logo on something and it doesn't reach anyone. We don't want to do that. So I think it's really important that I try to view that what is going to help as a beginning of your business. Your number one focus is driving revenue. That should be like your number one focus. For the longest time, I would think until you really have saturated your market. That's you should be focused on growing revenue. So any advertising deal we do is really trying to be vetted. Like, okay, how does this partnership look? What's the deal structure of it? And like, what's the success of this actually, likelihood of being successful? We can do this long term. So I try to be very, careful on any sponsorship deals we do or advertising, because it has to grow a business. That's imperative. In terms of how that breaks down with the events, because of our uniqueness of the centers we support and the organizations, we think it's really important to invest in going to all these pro-life conferences where we can meet the pregnancy centers face to face. So I think it's very strategic for us. We're, the centers that we partner with, I can meet them like a couple times a year, shake their hand, talk to them, see if they have everything they need and how we're supporting them and really build those key relationships. So I think events for us are really more focused on key relationship building and strategic partnerships than it is sales. But those are, that's the one balance for us is like, okay, we have, marketing that's focused on really growing our business, but then events to really grow strategic partnerships. So that's kind of how I view those two avenues.
I love that. Thank you for sharing because to your point, yeah, those relationships and the awareness is so important with what you're trying to do.
Yeah. You have to meet everyone. I mean, I cannot stress this enough is like, I think what's been helpful is when I got started is I really tried to reach out to as many people as I could. People I knew, personal relationships, friendships, different organizations I wanted to meet. You just try to form like just genuine relationships and partnerships because that's really how business grows and opportunities, surface. If you form a great partnership or relationship or friendship, that could lead to an opportunity one day for your business. You cannot just be behind a desk. You have to be out meeting with people. So I love that. It brings me a lot of joy too. I love connecting with people, and it's a really, really big part of what we do.
Well, as we come to a close, we ask some questions we try to keep, this is the rapid fire portion. This is the double jeopardy portion of the episode. And I know the first one, maybe a little more time than 90 seconds, but I like to ask people, what legacy do you hope to leave behind from your business endeavors from 7 Weeks Coffee?
Yeah, I'm not much of a person that thinks too far in the future, but I do see, I do believe in like, what's your vision for life? And I guess that would kind of answer. So the vision of 7 Weeks Coffee is this is ultimately God's business, and it's my job to steward that. And I want to steward that well. And that I think well defined is, excellence in coffee, excellence in mission, and funding the pro-life movement, one cup of coffee at a time. I think it's been awesome the first 2.5 years, coming up on 3 years of business, but I think we have so much more we can do and more people we can reach and more organizations we can support. So that's the legacy.
Well, it's something to be excited about, but I know you probably have some hobbies, something of interest. So 90 seconds on anything except 7 Weeks Coffee. What's got your interest these days?
Yeah, that's easy for me. I grew up playing golf. I played in high school golf. I played college golf. It's always been a huge passion of mine. And yeah, I do find it as like the one thing that I get to do that takes my mind off of business, because as a business owner, it's really easy to eat, sleep, and breathe your business, and you never like unplug. And so I think that's my one thing I get to unplug. I love golf. I love playing. It's fun to compete. And yeah, it will always be my passion is playing golf.
Yeah. Well, and now we go back the other direction. So I'll give you 90 seconds to make your best pitch for 7 weeks. Make sure you put your website URL in so people know where to go. Give us the 90-second spiel.
Yeah. So we invite any pro-life American who wants to let their coffee serve a greater purpose to make the switch to 7 Weeks Coffee. With every order, you'll directly support our network of over 850 pro-life organizations across the U.S. and contribute to saving countless lives. So if you love coffee and you love life, we say, make the switch to 7 Weeks Coffee today. We guarantee you'll also be the best coffee you ever had. So you can find us at 7weekscoffee.com. Just Google us and we'll come right up.
Oh, well done.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Anton, for joining. And again, just to say it, to get in touch with Anton, hit him up at 7weekscoffee.com and buy some great coffee, including some K-Cups, which is what I need since I'm such a lazy coffee drinker.
There you go. We have those for you, Kurt.
Yeah.
They've thought of everything now.
Yes.
They've expanded. Yes, Anton, thank you so much for joining us. There are so many good things to unpack here, and thanks for the transparency, sharing some real solid tips for people. And I really appreciate you sharing that. That's really valuable. And to those of you tuning in, thank you for your time. We invite you to join the Liberty Partnership community at libertyspenders.com. You can learn more there about how you can engage with this audience. You can engage with our Liberty Access Multiplier AI, or book a call to talk to Kurt or I and learn how you can take next steps and investigate this marketing strategy for your business. So until next time, thanks for listening.